I tried reading comic books online a few years ago, but sadly I never got into it. There was something about going to comic book shops and buying a new comic that I liked, and I also like to support my local comic book shop. With things the way they are in the world, I revisited the idea of reading digital comics and began exploring online sources for free comic books. I wanted to explore older titles that were in the public domain. I did come across a few sites that offer the latest comics, but they were breaking the law, and that was something I didn't want to support. There were also some legitimate sites that I could purchase comics, but I was honestly looking for a free site that I can get into some of the classic comics that I never got a chance to read when I was growing up. So with that in mind, I set out to find free comic books to read online. The experience of reading was something that I also took into consideration. The last time that I tried reading comic books online, I actually tried doing it on my computer, and I didn't find the experience of reading on the screen to be enjoyable or even remotely resemble what it would be like to read a comic book that would compare to holding a comic book in your hand. I wanted to be able to read on the couch or while lying down. Viewing comics on the computer wasn't something I wanted to do, but it would be an option if reading on my tablet failed. There were a few sites that offered downloads, but seemed sketchy, and I prefer not to download files from sites I'm not familiar with. That said, I found a couple of sites where I could read in the browser, the tablet in portrait mode would work, and I could easily zoom in and out to get the pages to fit the screen. I also liked that the site Comic Book Plus offered navigation at the bottom to turn the page. Plus, I would never come across some of these old titles in my local comic book stores. It's cool to also be able to read the advertisements from these classic comics and get an understanding of what was being advertised to comic book readers back then. The key thing to this experiment is it's free, and the experience was actually pretty good. There's a good number of free sites that offer public domain comics, which means that you can be reading comics for a long time to come. I also found free comics on publishers' websites. These free comics were given away by the publisher, hoping that you may buy digital downloads or comics from the comic book shop, and that you'll get into the story in the future. As a comic book fan, I'm happy that I decided to find these sites. As a consumer of digital content, I like the convenience of having content available to me at any time. If you want to read comics online, go with a tablet. Make sure to scale the content to the size of the screen. Explore the titles available. You'll be surprised how good some of these classics are. I probably wouldn't try reading comics on my phone. The type would be too small for me to get any enjoyment out of that. If you're a comic book collector, it may be more appealing to buy physical copies instead of reading online, but on the other hand, if you love great stories, this opens up a whole new world of comic book goodness. If you find reading classic comic books online enjoyable, then you might also want to consider some of the paid sites which will support the publisher and team that continue to tell new stories and create beautiful art that can be appreciated. Overall, I'm happy with the experience and will continue to find new books to read. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you haven't already subscribed, I hope you can hit the subscribe button. If you hit the like button, you help us get found in the YouTube algorithm, and if you hit the notification bell, you'll know when the next video goes up. So join us in the next one. Until then, have a great day, guys.